So welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a recap of Tidelands Season 1, Episode 8. This is the season finale. And I'm not really sure how I feel about how it ended. Okay, so Corrine and Leandra are still going at it. She eventually stabs Corey. And so now he's laid out, he's bleeding out on the floor. And Cal walks out and she sees Corey. And of course she runs to help him. So while she's trying to help him, Leandra tries to sneak up on her. Almost got her, but Corey had enough strength to push Cal out of the way just in time. Because Leandra was about to take Cal's head off. But she ends up overpowering Leandra, and she was able to get Corey's gun, and she shoots and kills Leandra. So Leandra is now dead, and she's trying to help Corey, but at this point he's lost so much blood that there wasn't really a whole lot that she could do. And so unfortunately Corey dies. So she has watched another man in her life die. So she gets Leandra's phone and she calls, and of course Adrielle answers and she's like, "Is it done?" And Cal was like, "No, you sent her to kill me, but basically she's the one dead." So they go back and forth, and Adrielle basically tells her that she has Augie. And of course Cal, she's gonna have to go there to get Augie. So you have Dylan and Adrielle. So Dylan is in the house as the guys from Starlin's team is bringing Augie in, and so he's looking confused, like, what the hell? What is going on here? He's your business partner, but he's tied up in there, and he's tied up in there on the floor because at this point Augie is still passed out. And Adrielle was basically like, basically at this point everything is just a means to an end. So they go back and forth. Dylan is not happy. He was basically telling her how she's losing control and how people are not happy and how Augie is her business partner and basically how can she do this and and she was just basically again the ultimatum, like, you're gonna have to choose between me or Cal. And he, in a way, he probably we're gonna stop right there. I'm not even gonna go until I get to that point. Okay, so Lamar and Murdoch. So Lamar is at the police station with Murdoch, and he's deleting the images that Lamar sent him so they can make a replica of the key. And Murdoch's like, "What are we going to do?" He said, "Well, we have to leave town." But before they leave, he had to make a stop. So they end up driving and stopping at the morgue. Murdoch went in, and that's when he found Leandra and Corey dead on the floor. So he thinks the person is still there, so he's now walking around trying to see if whoever else is there. And who appears behind him? Adrielle. So she basically jacks him up and basically like, I know about you and Lamar. I've known the whole time. Where is he? Da, da, da. And then Lamar appears and he basically like let him go. And she basically did what they do. She did, like, they control liquids and fluids. So she killed Murdoch. But Murdoch was able to distract her long enough for Lamar to get away. So Lamar is now in the wind. And I have to say that throughout this episode, we still have no idea what's happened to Vioka. So what the hell happened to her? Anyway, so now Lamar is in the wind. Cal goes to confront Rosa, and then that's when she finds out that Rosa brought Starlin in to get rid of the Tidelanders. And she was like, "Oh, so you're the cause of all of this. Now Adrielle and Starlin are working together, and now they have Augie." And so Rosa is sitting there like, you have to get him. It's like, bitch. Okay. So, but of course, she's going to do that because that's her brother. She doesn't really give a fuck about Rosa, but she does love Augie, so she's going to do what she needs to do to save him. So she was basically like, "Okay, so what happened with my dad?" And she said, "Well, he found a piece of pottery during a drug deal or something, and that's why Adrielle killed him." And so that was basically all she got at that point. So now she's working on how she's going to get Augie back. So Cal goes back to Augie's place, and now around this time she's having these flashbacks of her and her father. And her father gave her a gift when she was a kid. She opened it. It was a box. And it was the same box that had the photo of Adrielle. That's how she was kind of looking at the photo like, damn, how old is this bitch? Like 800 years old. And he, in the flashbacks, he gave her the gift and she was so excited. The box, and he was basically telling her, you need to keep this from Rosa, basically her mom, that woman she knows is her mom. And she was all into that box. And like, basically like, look, listen to me. you need to hide this box and you need to keep it from your mother. And so she starts digging around in there, and then she realized why. So she found a piece of the pottery. And so she ends up cutting herself. And when she touches the part where she cuts herself, she's able to, I guess, see the history of it, or she's able to see visions from it. So she actually had a vision of Adrielle killing her father and taking the pottery. So I'm like, if she killed him and took the pottery, what this piece here? But so she saw Adrielle killing her father and taking the pottery. And so let's flash back a little bit. So Adrielle, she saw Pat's body in the morgue, and she was like, oh, so what did you fish his body out of? This is before she killed Murdoch. And he was like, basically, I kept him as an insurance policy just in case our little arrangement ever went south. And so obviously she came out before she ended up killing him. But yeah, that's basically what she said. So now Cal has found this piece of pottery that her father was killed for. So Augie and Dylan, so it's the next day, they now have Augie tied to a chair sitting at the head of the table. And so Dylan walks in and he gives him a cigarette, and he's basically, talking to Dylan and trying to figure out what is going on and what this cow has to do with it. And Dylan wasn't really forthcoming. He basically said, you know that things have gone too far. And Dylan was like, you don't know what too far is because you had a mother and a father and da-da-da-da. And he was like, yeah, but we had something in common. We both love Cal. And so Dylan ends up walking away. And then shortly after Adrielle walks in, she starts talking to Augie, and he was like, what is this? Why? He asked her if she was going to kill him, and she didn't say anything. He's like, and why did you go in business with Starling? You and I have been business partners. I've done what I can to protect your secret. We've always had an agreement. And basically she just don't give a shit anymore. She was like, well, you're not going to be able to give me the kind of money that he can. He was like, you never really gave me a chance to. And so she ends up walking out. And around this time, Cal is going back to Latant. And so she ends up going to that little hut or whatever, the little trailer where I think his name is Gilles and Bijou live. And so Bijou was there, and she was basically asking her for her help, and Bijou and Gilles eventually walks in, and they agree to help her. And the next thing we know, we see Gilles. He goes into the house and says to Adrielle, I have something to tell you. And so we flash back out, and Cal is still kind of getting lay of the land. As you know, two women walk up on her, grab her, and Adrielle knocks the shit out of her, knocks her out. So Cal ends up she wakes up in the same cage that Genevieve had been kept in all those years. And so they started talking, and basically Cal was like, you're crazy, and that was basically their conversation back and forth. Like, Adrielle's trying to justify why she's doing what she's doing, and Cal's like, you're a crazy bitch and murderer and da-da-da, and why are you so afraid of me, and why didn't you just kill me instead of locking me up? And she was like, and she was like, well, maybe you can't kill me because you don't know if that's going to work or not, and da-da-da-da. And so eventually she ends up going back upstairs. So Adrielle goes back into the let me see. Okay, so around this time, Dylan, he's went back into town, and he sees all this police activity around the morgue. And so he was able to sneak in, and that's when he found Leandra and Corey dead on the ground. And so the police were still putting up the tape and all that, blocking everything off. And Adrielle walks in. I guess we think that she was going to say something to Augie, but Dylan, he's back at Latant, and he walks in, and she was like, where the hell have you been? He didn't get a chance to tell her because he was like, oh, well, Starling and his men are here. And so they come in, and around this time, Bijou and Gilles walk in, and they was like, excellent, why are you here? And Dylan was like, oh, we have, they want to present you something from the group, and it was this necklace they had made for her, and they had put it around her neck, and they left, and so Adrielle ends up taking Stalin then back into the little dining room, and of course, Augie still tied up at the table. She has what the pieces that she already has them put together, and so she shows Stalin the piece, and she was like, well, where's the money? He was like, well, it's on its way. And so the next thing you know, you see two guys come up, and they're bringing in this case that has the money. So they walk in, put it on the table, and around this time she realized something while they were talking, and he was looking at her like, are you okay? And so she realized, she didn't say this to them, but she basically told Dylan, go get the boy. She realized that when Gills put the necklace around her neck, that he had taken the key. And so at this time, he had already been downstairs and let Cal out. And so when Dylan turned the corner, he saw the two kids and Cal. He's kind of confused, and Cal had to tell him, she had me locked in the damn basement. So they came to let me out. And so she gets out, and he goes back, and they make eye contact, and he was just like, basically, I guess he's trying to say, no, the boy's long gone. But so the case, they put the case on the table, and they open the case. The money's not in there; it's guns. So they never had any intentions of giving this bitch $15 million. They wanted to take the war trumpet, for themselves. So the guns come out. Let you know, Cal appears with the piece that she has. And she's basically like, if you shoot them, then I'm going to basically smash this piece, and you're never going to be able to put it together. Charlotte was like, she's bluffing. That's, you know, the shooting starts. Dylan was able to fight Stalin long enough. Stalin ended up shooting his guy. He was able to grab Adrielle before she was hit, and she grabbed the war trumpet, but when she hit the ground, it smashed on the ground. So so now it's a whole shootout, right? So everybody's ducking and dodging, and bam bam, and ducking and dodging, and you know, everybody obviously trying not to get hit, or whatever the case may be. And the rest of the guys, I guess they ran out of the house. They run to get in the truck. Kyle grabs the gun. She runs out. Oh, Augie gets free. He ends up stabbing Stalin in the back. He gets the gun, and Stalin makes a run for it. So everybody's making a run for it. It's a whole just craziness. So they're running out. Kyle grabs a gun. She grabs a gun. I guess it was the guy that was killed. She runs out, and Dylan is behind her, and she's shooting. Obviously, the people at Tidelands, they're all ducking and dodging. His men trying to get in this truck so they can get out. And so by the time they do all that, she looks up, she's like, well, where's Augie? So Augie's still in the house looking for Stalin. Stalin gets the jump on him, ends up getting the gun from Augie, and now he has Augie. While this is going on, Adrielle, she's on the floor, and she's like counting. She realizes that she was looking to make sure all the pieces were there. And this is the kicker. I can't remember which episode it was where, who was talking about visions and how they can be unreliable, or you think visions mean one thing but they mean something else. I forget which episode that was. So we find out that vision had shit twisted. It wasn't Kyle that stabbed Adrielle. It was Gills. And Gills, he stabbed the shit out of Adrielle and like, that's for my eye. So you can see the shock on her face, because this whole time she was all trying to get Cal before she gets me. So now she's stabbed the fuck up on the ground, and there's still stuff going on. And so was it Bijou? Who runs up to Cal and say, I know where your brother, I think it was Bijou that ran in and said, I know where your brother is. But at this point, that's when you saw Cal. Cal is standing over Adrielle, and they're talking, and Cal was basically like, I don't want what you want, that whole thing, you know, how you're evil, and da. And so that was the vision, because Cal was there, but Cal wasn't the person that stabbed her. And that's when Bijou walks in and says, I know where your brother is. And so that's when you see Stalin has a gun to Augie's head. Now they're on the beach. So of course at this point, Cal shows up, and Stalin is basically like he wants that piece that Cal had. And actually, I think it was an Adrielle that asked Cal before she left to go get Augie, how did you get that piece? And that's when you saw the flashback. He broke the piece that he found in half, and he kept one piece, and that's when the vision you see Adrielle getting the other piece. So that's how Cal ended up with still having a piece. It was confusing at first. I'm like, she took the piece. How did she have the piece? And, okay, he broke the piece in half and kept half. So now you have Bijou on the beach. Stalin and Augie are halfway in the water. Cal is there. And so she hands Stalin the piece, but then she cuts herself so that she bleeds in the water. And then then Augie, Stalin is distracted long enough for Augie to grab him, but unfortunately in this tussle, Bijou ends up getting shot. And so now she's lying and dying on the beach. Augie and Stalin are fighting it out in the water. Next you know, the gun goes off. Initially, I was thinking that Stalin was the one that was hit, but it was actually Augie the one he was hit. So Cal's helping him out of the water. The next thing you know, Stalin jumps up and basically like still trying to get this piece. And so the next thing you know, the siren song, and now they're calling him, and so he ends up going out into the water, and we just assumed his ass drowned. So she gets Cal back to the beach, and he was basically like, you know, help the kid. He was wanting her to help Bijou. And so she went over to Bijou to help, and Bijou was like, she's here. And then she turns around, and Adrielle is there with the case, and I'm assuming she had all the pieces in the case. And she grabbed the piece that Cal had. And so Cal is now begging her, help him, I can't help them both, And so she walks over to, Adrielle walks over to Augie and was basically like, I want to help you, but I really don't. So she didn't say that, but I mean, that was basically, she didn't help him. So she walks over to Cal while she's trying to help Bijou, and she was like, well, you see, this is what was the prophecy. It was me, you, and a girl on the beach, and still no siren. So I guess that means I am still queen. Okay, I need to backtrack a little bit. Okay, so how she was able to get to the beach. So Dylan walks in, and he sees her, and he was like, he pulls a knife out and he heals her. And so she's like, who did this to you? And so this bitch still lied, said Cal did it. And Dylan wasn't buying it. She was like, no, she didn't. You're lying, and how you've lost the people, and the people don't think of you as their queen anymore. And so she was like, well, I'm sorry for this, or something she said. She ends up stabbing the shit out of Dylan. So now Dylan is laying on the floor dying. So he healed her, and she ends up stabbing, trying to kill him. But that's how fucked up her head is at this point. So that's when she gets to the beach. She's taught the whole thing, and she was like, well, they didn't come, and I'm still queen. So she's sashaying away. So next thing you know, you see all of these sirens, they're swimming towards the shore. And Cal, she was able to heal Bijou. And so she looks up, and you see the silhouette of one of the sirens standing on the shore, and the other ones are still in the water. And Adrielle stopped, and she turned, and she looked dead at her. And that bitch did not look happy at all. And now let's keep in mind, Augie is still alive, so he's still waiting to be helped. So that was basically how this episode ended. So Dylan is fucked up, so you don't know if he's going to live. Augie is fucked up on the beach, so you don't know if he's going to live. The sirens have come back. Their Miamis have come back, so you don't know if Adrielle is about to get fucked up. If she about to get a much needed ass whooping. So we don't know what happened, where Lamar went, and we haven't seen Viola. So at this point, it's like, and then we haven't seen the rest of Augie's old his old crew who was still gunning, trying to kill him. So there are it left some unanswered questions, so I guess we'll have to wait for season 2. But like I said, that's why I said I'm not sure how I feel about how it ended, but I guess they had to leave something for them to pick up, a place for them to pick up for next season. So yeah, so that's how this episode ended. I am going to end this here, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.